In this lesson, we'll learn about ghosting and how it can be used to improve animations. We're just about finished with our project. Now, as we play through the sequence, we may find that the arcs can be improved. But to know that for sure, we can use ghosting just to have an idea of the visual path our object travels along in the scene. So of course we have this path that we've created and we have an idea of the trajectory then that the ship travels along, but we did add those offsets in the last lesson. And just looking at the playback, I can tell that there are a few F-curves that will need to be tweaked, but to know for sure we can work with ghosting. Now, not only can we use this tool as an arc corrector, but more often than not, you'll use ghosting to correct your timing and spacing. So let's go and learn how to use this tool. First, under the display menu, you'll want animation ghosting on. So let's go ahead and make sure that's turned on. Also, under the display options, you'll find ghosting settings to get the exact type of ghost you're looking for. Again, we cover this more in depth in our Introduction to Animation course. But now, to actually see the ghosts, we'll need to select the object we would like to have ghosted, which in this case is our ship control. Let's go ahead and grab that. We'll go to our Explorer, press F to frame the object. Expanding it, we'll choose the visibility properties. And notice right at the bottom, we'll turn on ghosting from here. So let's see what this does. And we'll lock this panel down. I'll double click on the toolbar to minimize it. We can now close out the Explorer. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we see. We'll hit play. And what we see now is how our object travels along the scene, which is really neat. So as we get to areas where there is more space between these objects, that means that the ship is moving faster. If there are areas where the objects are kind of cluttered together, that means the ship would then move slower. So we're almost using 2D principles when we work with our ghosting tool. So taking a look at this, our arcs actually look pretty good, but notice at the beginning of the animation, the swoop down can be improved. This arc isn't the best. We want more curvature added to it. Now we could always work with object level. If we were to go back to our ghost properties, notice we can switch our ghost type. So we could always set this to, let's say, trail, and that will give us a line, which is a clear indication of how our arc looks. So that might be much better to work with in our case. All right, so with the ship still selected, what I'll now do is go to the animation editor, and we can go ahead and select the position Y axis and start to tweak the animation. So what I'd like to do on the first key in the position Y is start to bring that out tangent or out slope down. And what that's going to do is correct the arc at the beginning. You can see how the arc has been improved. So we get a better swoop down. Much better. Now as the ship swoops up, what we can do is also improve that part of the animation by adjusting the out slope using the key on frame 90. So we'll go ahead and take that out slope and kind of drag that down just a little bit more to fix the arc at that point. Much better. Let's go ahead and take a look at the end of the animation. That swoop down is nice. I think that will work. Great. Well, in no time at all, we have corrected the arcs in the animation, and we have ghosting to thank for that. One thing you may also consider doing is adding some rotation to your ship. So let's animate a little bit more. We can make sure auto key is turned on. Go to our rotate tool. And as the ship moves up and down, of course we'd want to have just a little bit of rotation during that change in position. So for instance, on frame 1, we can go to our rotate X and rotate the ship down slightly. And now as the ship swoops back up, on around frame 70, we can have the ship rotate up in the x-axis, not much. So here's what happens. The ship is pointed down as it swoops down and points up as it swoops up. And now when we get to the very end of the animation, of course we'll want to have the ship rotate down again. However, this might be a pretty neat pose to add to our ship if this was a more agile type of vehicle the pilot was controlling. Maybe the ship had some type of hovers underneath that the pilot could use to slow it down. Just getting creative, but it might be best to just go ahead and keep it simple and rotate it back down again, not as much. All right, so we could always take a look at this, hitting play. Beautiful. So that looks really nice. Okay, great. Well, again, in this lesson, we learned how we can use ghosting to improve our animations, not only in timing and spacing, but if we go ahead and switch our ghost display to trails, that gives us a good indication of the trajectory our object travels along, and then we can get in, use the animation editor to tweak what needs to be tweaked to correct the performance. Well, that's going to be it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we will finish the animation section of this course by learning how to view real-time previews of our animations using captures.